This scar-ridden man is a cold-blooded assassin. As a child, his entire family was brutally murdered. Afterward, he was adopted by a foreigner who trained him to be a professional killer. But his time with his adoptive father was short-lived, as he too was murdered. Consumed by despair, he seeks revenge for his family. What challenges will he face in the future? And will he be able to avenge them? Join us as we explore this film together. 16 years ago, this fleeing boy, Soo Hyun, was only 10 years old when he faced an assassination attempt in an orphanage. Though he narrowly escaped death, he lost all his memories and was subsequently rescued by the assassin, Pavel. Pavel adopted him and prepared him to inherit his profession. But to become a professional assassin, both faith and skill are equally important. First, never reveal the identity of the person behind the contract. Second, never let the target speak a word before they die. Third, always strive to survive. During training, Soo Hyun constantly reminded himself of these rules. But when he saw a husky nearby, hesitation flickered in his eyes. His adoptive father, noticing this, immediately raised his gun, aiming at the dog, but Soo Hyun stopped him. Enraged, his father then pointed the gun at him. Because a professional assassin cannot afford to have feelings, the disappointed father tied Soo Hyun to a tree, leaving him to die. After an unknown amount of time, Soo Hyun awoke on the ground. The husky had gnawed through the ropes, freeing him. This was the first time Soo Hyun felt kindness in the world. 17 years passed in the blink of an eye. Now grown, Soo Hyun has become a professional assassin. However, his adoptive father, Pavel, is suffering from Alzheimer's. Driven by his assassin's instincts, even in his illness, he harbors resentment towards everyone around him, including Soo Hyun. Faced with his father's murderously charged attacks, Soo Hyun reluctantly defends himself, grabbing a gun and returning fire, then finding an opportunity to subdue him and disarm him. Worried about hurting his father, Soo Hyun hesitates to use excessive force throughout the struggle. Unfortunately, he ends up getting stabbed by his father. Luckily, Soo Hyun is young and strong, and he eventually manages to restrain his father. Afterward, while treating his wound, he plans to retire and take his father abroad. However, his father still has one final, important mission to complete. Soo Hyun offers to handle it in his place. But the proud old man refuses to accept the reality of his age. The next morning, he goes alone to complete the mission. He gets the target in his sniper scope, but his hands tremble, preventing him from pulling the trigger. Having missed this opportunity, he's forced to attempt a close-quarters assassination. He infiltrates the target's villa, but unfortunately, the target's son, Karamov Roman II, figures him out. Though Karamov Roman II draws a knife, he's no match for Pavel. However, his men hear the commotion and arrive. Pavel, weakened by age, can't react in time and gets stabbed in the stomach. Just as Pavel is about to die, Soo Hyun arrives, taking down the surrounding guards with a few shots. However, Karamov takes his father hostage. As they're being led away, Soo Hyun cleverly chooses not to pursue them directly, instead climbing into the ventilation system. After planting a grenade, he jumps down and subdues the target. He forces the target to summon everyone. After luring all the guards, Soo Hyun finally finds Pavel, who is now critically injured. To avoid burdening Soo Hyun, Pavel chooses to take his own life with his gun. At the same moment, Karamov's men reach the target. Soo Hyun's bomb detonates. After bringing his adoptive father home, Soo Hyun prepares a dose of adrenaline, but the old man swats it away. He believes that death is the best outcome, considering his Alzheimer's. Soo Hyun, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for raising you into what you are now. He repeatedly apologizes, urging Soo Hyun to forget everything. Then, he peacefully passes away. Following his father's wishes, Soo Hyun prepares to retire. But at this moment, he receives a picture via email, identical to one he already possesses. The intermediary informs him that the picture came from a mysterious individual who wants Soo Hyun to eliminate 6 targets. In exchange for each kill, this individual will provide a crucial clue about Soo Hyun's past. Driven to uncover his true identity, Soo Hyun accepts this final job. While hunting in the mountains, a man spots a deer. Just as he aims his rifle, a figure leaps from the opposite cliff face, swinging a grappling hook that catches the man's ankle, causing him to lose his balance and tumble down the cliff. The attacker is Soo Hyun. The fallen man is still alive. Su Hyan approaches him and injects a mysterious substance into his head, killing him instantly. He then takes a picture of the victim with his phone. That night, he receives the third clue about his past. Because the murdered man was a prominent business tycoon, the case attracts significant police attention. Detective Hyan Jin is assigned to the case. Arriving at the scene, she immediately recognizes that the death wasn't simply a fall, noting the look of terror on the victim's face. She instructs her subordinates to take the body for an autopsy. On her way back, she encounters a wounded deer blocking the road. The man standing before her is Su Hyan. Hyan Jin gets out to help. A former professional darts player, she quickly tranquilizes the deer. Her skill and composure catch Su Hyan's attention. He examines the deer's wound. Hyan Jin removes her scarf to blindfold the deer, calming it. Su Hyan declines her help, placing the deer in his vehicle and preparing to leave. Hyan Jin is slightly annoyed. "I helped you, you know. You could at least say thank you." Su Hyan reluctantly mutters, "Thank you." Noticing that her scarf is now dirty, he takes it from her and gives her his business card for an animal hospital, telling her to contact him for compensation. The animal hospital is Su Hyan's cover. Thus, the assassin and the detective have their first encounter. Su Hyan goes to a fast food restaurant. Inside, the owner is beating his wife, apparently over their daughter's college tuition. Su Hyan intervenes. Ignoring the owner's demands that he leave, he orders a meal from the wife. The enraged owner approaches him, but Su Hyan's gaze intimidates him into silence. He takes his meal and returns to his clinic. A young woman follows him inside. Her name is Kang Seul Kai, a high school student who owns the building, including Su Hyan's clinic. She notices the woman's scarf on the coat rack and becomes jealous. She casually asks, "Whose woman's scarf is that?" Su Hyan replies, "It belongs to a woman." Seul Kai is surprised. He acknowledges a woman and asks what kind of woman she is. Su Hyan simply says, "She's just a normal woman." It's clear he has no romantic interest in Seul Kai. At the same time, the autopsy results for the body found at the bottom of the cliff came back. The medical examiner informed Hyan Jin that the victim's neck showed traces of a drug similar to amphetamine. Even more intriguing, deeper tissue analysis revealed the presence of cocaine. This suggested the needle used was likely reused and its owner a possible addict. DNA from the needle led them to the fast food restaurant owner. The police immediately apprehended him for questioning. Coincidentally, he was experiencing withdrawal symptoms and pulled out a vial of cocaine from his shoe, attempting to inject himself. The police intervened, seemingly confirming his guilt. However, Hyan Jin felt something was amiss. The restaurant owner, in his current state, seemed incapable of carrying out such a meticulously planned murder. She deduced that he was being framed. Before she could voice her concerns, her superiors, eager to close the case, hastily declared it solved. That evening, a distraught Hyan Jin accidentally hit a cat with her car. She rushed out, carefully wrapping the injured animal. Unsure what to do, she remembered the veterinarian who had given her his business card. Following the address, she found Su Hyan, who, without hesitation, carried the cat to the operating table. Just as he finished prepping for surgery, the cat went into cardiac arrest. Su Hyan immediately began CPR, then tossed Hyan Jin a pair of gloves, asking for her assistance. Slowly, he instructed, drawing a syringe and quickly administering a dose of epinephrine. Through their combined efforts, the cat was revived. Hyan Jin's perception of Su Hyan shifted, seeing him in a new light. But then, she noticed a vial of amphetamine on his table, reminding her of the day's case. The victim had been injected with a similar drug. Hyan Jin began probing Su Hyan, who calmly explained that the drug was used for euthanasia, further elaborating on the different reactions it could induce. Hyan Jin felt a palpable sense of unease emanating from him. Fortunately, Seul Kai entered, breaking the tension. After they left, Su Hyan retreated to a hidden room in the clinic, destroying all data related to the restaurant owner. He then pulled out a picture of Hyan Jin. His intuition told him this woman would become a problem. And he was right. The next morning, Hyan Jin moved into the apartment above his clinic. Seul Kai, the landlord, perhaps worried about Hyan Jin's beauty, and its potential effect on Soo Hyun gave her a cold reception, creating difficulties and even threatening to cancel the lease. However, the contract was signed. Breaking it would mean paying double the penalty. Hyun Jin told her to think it over carefully. Seul Kai, infuriated, turned to Soo Hyun for support. He simply replied, "We're all neighbors now, so let's help each other out." The following day, Hyun Jin moved in. To make things difficult, Seul Kai deliberately locked the elevator at her floor, forcing Hyun Jin to take the stairs. Confronting Seul Kai, Hyun Jin inquired about the locked elevator. Seul Kai claimed it was for the landlord's exclusive use, feeling smug at Hyun Jin's frustration. She then stepped out, sporting her limited edition sneakers. A passing car splashed muddy water all over them, sending her into a fit of rage. But her anger quickly turned to fear when she recognized the man in the car. She tried to flee but was blocked by thugs. The man was Seul Kai's uncle. After her grandfather's death, Seul Kai inherited his entire fortune. Just as he was about to make his move, Hyun Jin intervened. She pulled 2 cans of soda from Soo Hyun's bag, pushed him back, and told him to call the police. Seul Kai's uncle mocked the seemingly frail Hyun Jin, armed with nothing but 2 cans of soda. Facing his vulgar taunts, Hyun Jin calmly warned him, then smashed 1 can against the car's side mirror. This only enraged him further. Left with no other option, she struck again, this time hitting him directly in the face with the 2nd can. His thugs, armed with knives, immediately lunged at her. They overpowered her, even grabbing her hair. Soo Hyun watched, bewildered, wondering why someone would risk their life for a stranger. Unable to comprehend her actions, Soo Hyun called his close friend, and Philip. "What's the reason to fight for a stranger?" he asked. "Money. Money," Philip replied. "What else is there for a guy like you, besides money?" But this clearly wasn't the answer he was looking for. That evening, Soo Hyun ran into Hyun Jin on his way home. Despite her injuries from earlier, she was comforting him. Speechless, Soo Hyun offered her a can of soda. Hyun Jin then expressed her desire to visit the injured cat. They returned to the clinic together. Soo Hyun feigned composure, asking why she had helped Seul Kai. She replied that even if she weren't a police officer, she wouldn't stand idly by in such a situation. She also expressed her belief in Soo Hyun's inherent goodness, pointing out that the many animals in his clinic were alive because of his compassion. Meanwhile, Hyun Jin discreetly used her police resources to investigate Seul Kai. After inheriting her grandfather's fortune, Seul Kai had been constantly harassed and threatened by relatives. It was Soo Hyun who had protected her, asking nothing in return. Hyun Jin's words triggered a memory. 10 years earlier, he and his adoptive father were on a mission targeting Seul Kai's grandfather. After eliminating their target, his father discovered young Seul Kai. Soo Hyun intervened, arguing that she was too young. His father reminded him of their creed. But Soo Hyun remained firm, she's too young. His compassion spared Seul Kai's life. He continued to protect her in the years that followed, perhaps revealing a flicker of humanity within the assassin. A message then appeared on Soo Hyun's computer from Karamov Roman II, the son of Karamov, the man he had killed 2 years prior. Karamov Roman II had taken over his father's criminal empire and returned to Korea to engage in human trafficking. Soo Hyun's adoptive father, Pavel, had died at Karamov Yai's hands. Soo Hyun photographed the message and asked Philip to locate Karamov Roman II. He then stealthily infiltrated Karamov's hideout, ready to avenge his father. Meanwhile, Karamov Yai's human trafficking operation caught the attention of the police. Hyun Jin, disguised as a repair worker, infiltrated his house. Her mission was to photograph evidence of the gang's crimes and leave immediately, but the plan took an unexpected turn. As she prepared to exit, an unforeseen event occurred. A young woman burst through a door and collapsed, pleading with Hyun Jin to save her. The police commander outside was unsure how to proceed. Inside, Hyun Jin was cornered by the thugs, who also discovered a clue on her glasses. "I knew something was off." "Cops!" Karamov Roman II yelled, ordering his men to eliminate Hyun Jin. Faced with a syringe-wielding thug, Hyun Jin fought back fiercely, but she was no match for their numbers. One thug kicked her to the ground. Just then, a bottle flew through the air, striking the thug. Soo Hyun had arrived, diverting the thug's attention. As they rushed towards him, Soo Hyun breathed a sigh of relief. What followed was a display of the protagonist's impressive fighting skills. Against a professional assassin like Soo Hyun, the thugs didn't stand a chance. With the thugs dealt with, the police stormed the building and rescued Hyun Jin. Without hesitation, she raced to the rooftop, catching Karamov Roman II attempting to escape by jumping to a lower level. Hyun Jin ordered him to drop his weapon. At that moment, Soo Hyun reappeared, shielding Hyun Jin from a potentially fatal shot. Facing the masked man, Hyun Jin was momentarily stunned, feeling a strange sense of familiarity. Karamov Roman II seized the opportunity, using a rope to rappel down the building. Hyun Jin aimed her gun at Soo Hyun, demanding to know his identity and ordering him to remove his mask. Ignoring her, Soo Hyun grabbed the rope and descended. Hyun Jin hesitated, her finger hovering over the trigger. More police arrived. As the masked man landed safely, Hyun Jin, disappointed at failing to capture him, felt an involuntary surge of relief on his behalf. After his escape, Soo Hyun returned home, his mind replaying the encounter. Just yesterday, he hadn't understood why he'd risked himself for a stranger. Yet, seeing Hyun Jin in danger, he hadn't hesitated. He realized that even a cold-blooded assassin like himself was changing because of her. To resolve the situation, he sought out Seul Kai. Have Hyun Jin, who lives on the 4th floor, move out. I'll cover the contract penalty, he instructed. However, Hyun Jin had previously helped Seul Kai, turning her into a devoted fan. She refused Soo Hyun's unreasonable request. Meanwhile, at the police station, Hyun Jin couldn't shake the image of the masked man. His eyes were familiar, but she couldn't place them. Her phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. It was a birthday reminder she'd set. That evening, Hyun Jin brought a cake to the clinic, explaining it was her close friend's birthday. Although they'd lost touch 20 years ago, she celebrated every year. She recounted how, as children, she'd write birthday messages on paper airplanes and give them to her friend. Soo Hyun's expression shifted, and he excused himself. Later that night, Soo Hyun retrieved a cherished paper airplane from a drawer in his basement. Written on it was a birthday message. He wondered if he was the friend Hyun Jin spoke of, and how his life would unfold now that they were living in such close proximity. The next day, a middle-aged woman arrived at Soo Hyun's clinic, introducing herself as Hyun Jin's mother. Along with her business card, she presented him with a check. She requested that, as a neighbor, he look after Hyun Jin. This care, however, seemed rather unsettling. She wanted a detailed record of Hyun Jin's daily routine, when she left for work, when she returned, and who visited her apartment. This possessive concern bordered on obsessive. Soo Hyun, ever aloof, didn't bother with pleasantries. I'll contact you if necessary, he stated dismissively. I don't think you understand. Please leave. That evening, Hyun Jin returned home to find her apartment filled with gifts and fresh flowers. The refrigerator was stocked with groceries. She correctly guessed her mother had been there. A phone call from her mother confirmed it. Hyun Jin's face reflected her distress at her mother's overbearing concern. She visited Soo Hyun's clinic to apologize for her mother's intrusion. Soo Hyun, however, was more concerned with a cut on her face. Flustered, Hyun Jin tucked her hair behind her ear. As Soo Hyun gently disinfected the wound, the sight of Karamov Roman II lurking outside filled him with tension. For an assassin, the most dangerous thing is to develop attachments. 10 years ago, he defied his adoptive father to save Seul Kai, and she had become his weakness. Now, with Karamov Roman II, his sworn enemy, back on the scene, Soo Hyun worried. He wasn't afraid for himself, but for those close to him. Hyun Jin, being a detective, carried a gun and could protect herself. Seul Kai, however, was vulnerable. Despite living next door, Soo Hyun remained uneasy. He gave Seul Kai a whistle, instructing her to blow it if she was in danger. Seul Kai, oblivious to the seriousness of the situation, asked if she could have a prettier one. Exasperated, Soo Hyun ignored her and returned to his apartment, keeping a close watch on the building's security cameras. Suddenly, he heard the whistle. He raced next door, only to find Seul Kai had been joking. Annoyed, he turned to leave. Back in his apartment, the whistle blew again. He rushed back, only to be told Seul Kai had wanted him to share some instant noodles. Soo Hyun sternly warned her not to trifle with the whistle. Undeterred, Seul Kai quickly blew the whistle a third time, cheerfully heading downstairs to greet him. This time, it wasn't Su Hyan who arrived, but Karamov Roman II. Seul Kai fled back to her apartment, but Karamov Roman II forced his way in. He grabbed her hair and began to assault her. Su Hyan burst into the apartment, throwing Karamov Roman II across the room with a single shoulder toss. "Don't you dare touch her," he growled. "Why not?" Karamov Roman II sneered, pulling a gun. A fierce fight erupted. Despite his aggression, Karamov Roman II was no match for Su Hyan. Unwilling to kill him in front of Seul Kai, Su Hyan grabbed a knife and stabbed Karamov Roman II, planting a tracking device on him before allowing him to escape. At the police station, Hyan Jin interrogated two of Karamov Yai's henchmen. Though initially tight-lipped about his hideout, after she employed her unique psychological tactics, they spilled everything they knew. Acting on the intel, the police quickly moved to apprehend Karamov Roman II. Meanwhile, after taking Seul Kai to the hospital, Su Hyan tracked Karamov Yai's location via phone. Seul Kai's breathing stabilized, and Su Hyan sped towards Karamov Yai's location. Karamov Roman II, sensing the police closing in, attempted to escape but found himself staring down the barrel of Su Hyan's gun. Facing a top-tier assassin, Karamov Roman II knew he was outmatched. Yet he foolishly drew his own weapon. The result was predictable, a swift end to his criminal career. Su Hyan warned him against harming the girl, presumably Seul Kai. Karamov Roman II retorted with a cryptic mention of knowing something about Su Hyan's past. Su Hyan dismissed it, stating he could investigate his own history, but Karamov Yai's harm to Seul Kai sealed his fate. When Hyan Jin and her team arrived, they found Karamov Roman II dead, but they were able to rescue numerous young women he had trafficked. The next day, Karamov Yai's body was discovered on a nearby yacht. The medical examiner was stunned. The entry wound in his forehead screamed professional hitman. Even the blood spatter was described as a work of art. Hyan Jin grew suspicious, the precision marksmanship reminding her of the masked figure who had saved her. The Mi, equally impressed, analyzed the wounds, the first shot to the hand, likely disarming the victim, the second to the calf, suggesting a hidden knife, and the final, fatal shot between the eyes. Hyan Jin marveled at the killer's skill, but despite 2 days of relentless investigation, the police found no trace of the perpetrator. Meanwhile, the ruthless assassin they discussed was tending to stray cats. Hyan Jin, observing this, sighed, thinking how lucky the local animals were to have Dr. Su Hyan around. She then bought out a street vendor's entire stock of vegetables, praising their freshness and allowing the elderly woman to go home early. Afterwards, Hyan Jin went to buy coffee. Noticing Su Hyan lingering nearby, the vendor offered him a persimmon. He accepted, albeit shyly. Hyan Jin returned with a coffee. "Do you know what the best coffee in the world is?" she asked. "Shared coffee," she answered herself. Su Hyan looked down impassively, but his eyes followed her every move. The vendor, observing their interaction, urged him, "Stop staring and help her with those bags." Flustered, he took the bags from Hyan Jin. Though he knew the worlds of assassin and police officer were diametrically opposed, he couldn't resist staying by her side. That evening, and Philip sent information on the fourth target. This target was significantly more prominent than the previous ones, a congressman preparing to run for re-election. Assassinating him would earn Su Hyan the fourth clue to his past. Using the guise of a veterinarian, Su Hyan gained access to Congressman So's house. Excusing himself to use the restroom, he slipped into the congressman's study and planted a listening device under a desk. He then cracked the safe, but instead of valuable intel, he found a roster from the Hansu orphanage. Strangely, the children weren't listed by name, only by assigned numbers. Flipping to the last page, he froze. The final entry was number 88. No other information was provided. This triggered a memory, the paper airplane tucked away in his drawer, also bearing the number 88. "Happy birthday," it read. The handwriting fueled his suspicion that he was that very number 88. Driven to uncover the truth, Su Hyan raced to the Hansu orphanage. Inside, he saw a locker labeled Lee Young-yoon. Forgotten memories flooded back. He was number 88, and Lee Young-yoon, the girl who gave him the paper airplane, was his only friend. As he searched for more clues, he heard a noise and saw Hyan Jin. Following her, he watched from the shadows as she removed a loose brick in a hallway, revealing a hidden compartment. A flashback showed a younger Hyun-jin placing a paper airplane inside. Hyun-jin sensed something amiss and shone her flashlight towards the corner, but Soo-hyun had already slipped away. Back home, and Philip, seeing the name Lee Young-yoon on a piece of paper Soo-hyun held, recognized it from the paper airplane. Perhaps she held the key to Soo-hyun's past. Most Hansu orphans changed their names after adoption, and Philip cautioned. Finding her would be like finding a needle in a haystack. But Soo-hyun already had a strong suspicion. Despite his professional detachment as an assassin, he had developed feelings for Hyun-jin. He tried to suppress them, but the realization that she was Lee Young-yoon from the orphanage shook him to his core. Back then, as number 88, he lived a harsh existence at Hansu Orphanage, enduring meager meals and back-breaking labor. Facing this prison-like oppression, young Lee Young-yoon wished for death, writing her despairing thoughts on a paper airplane and hiding it behind the loose brick. Soo-hyun discovered her secret. Reading her words of loneliness and desperation, he decided to help. The next day, Lee Young-yoon found a piece of candy alongside her airplane. Its sweetness brought a smile to her face. On the airplane, she found a message of encouragement, signed 88. His kindness, unknowingly, had brought her a glimmer of hope. Not long after, she was adopted by a wealthy couple. But their motive wasn't so simple. Their biological daughter had died from an illness. The mother, unable to bear the devastating blow, had lost her mind. To soothe his wife's grief, the father adopted her from the orphanage, intending for her to assume the identity of Hyun-jin and be a companion for his wife. She thought she had found happiness, but she was unknowingly just a replacement for their daughter in her adoptive mother's memory. For years, she lived by her side, growing up under a pathologically controlling environment. Despite the torment, she never forgot the number 88 from that year. Every year, she would even celebrate a birthday for number 88. After returning home, Hyun-jin noticed a motorcycle in the corner. It was identical to the one she had seen at the orphanage gates. Later, she learned from Seul Kai that the motorcycle belonged to Soo-hyun, sparking suspicion about his true identity. To confirm her hunch, she invited him over for dinner and strategically placed a toy airplane where he could easily see it. As expected, it caught Soo-hyun's attention. Soo-hyun picked up the plane. Written on it was, "Number 88, Happy Birthday." He couldn't help but turn and look at Hyun-jin, who quickly averted her gaze. He then took a picture of the inscription with his phone. Seeing this, Hyun-jin felt certain of her suspicions. During dinner, their eyes met intensely. She broke the silence, probing him with questions. Surprisingly, he knew how to ride a motorcycle. "How come I've never seen you ride it?" she asked. Had he ever heard of the Hansu Orphanage? Upon hearing the name, and then the name and Philip, he choked, spraying food across the table. The meal abruptly ended. Undeterred, Hyun-jin sought him out again at his clinic, asking him to go for a walk. They sat together on a park bench. Hyun-jin deliberately brought up her childhood friend, saying she could never forget the boy who had turned hell into heaven. She turned to Soo-hyun, her face filled with expectation, hoping to hear the confirmation from his own lips. But she only learned that the Soo-hyun before her had once been number 88, unaware that he was the very assassin she had been painstakingly investigating. Faced with Hyun-jin's expectant gaze, Soo-hyun remained silent, offering no admission. Because an assassin and a police officer were destined to be worlds apart. The scene shifts. Soo-hyun holds a gun to the man's head, who continues to struggle. But then, he hears the man mention the Hansu Orphanage, giving him pause. This mention earns the man a reprieve. Soo-hyun offers him a chance to live, tell him everything that happened at the Hansu Orphanage 20 years ago. But the man feigns ignorance, squandering his last opportunity. Just as Soo-hyun is about to pull the trigger, the door to the art gallery swings open. He quickly hides beside a wardrobe. The newcomer is Councilman Seo Eo's daughter. Seeing the young girl, Soo-hyun is reminded of Seul Kai and, by extension, the kind and beautiful Hyun-jin. This marks the first failure of his career as an assassin. Back home, Soo-hyun descends to the basement, staring at the weapons adorning the walls. He thinks of all the lives he has taken. For the past 20 years, his world has consisted of conspiracies, assassinations, and the sound of gunfire. He remembers promising his adoptive father he would retire and start a new life. But his investigation into his own origins led him down a new path of bloodshed. It seems it's time to stop. The next morning, and Philip turns on the TV, expecting to hear news of Councilman Seo Eo's assassination. Instead, he sees the councilman sitting calmly on screen. And Philip is stunned. He's never known Soo Hyun to fail. He rushes down to the basement to confront Soo Hyun, who simply admits his failure and confesses to being exhausted. He instructs Philip to contact their client and cancel the contract, but Philip fears retaliation. He tries to make Soo Hyun see reason. Even if he retires, he will always be an assassin. No amount of good deeds can wash the blood from his hands. But Soo Hyun remains resolute. And Philip asks, "Is this because of Hyun Jin? Fine, have it your way." Left with no choice, Philip follows Soo Hyun's orders and sends a request to terminate the contract. Predictably, they are threatened and pressured to complete the assassination. The client also sends a clue related to Soo Hyun's past. Upon seeing the photograph, Soo Hyun rushes to the address indicated. He finds an urn containing ashes and a framed photograph beside it. He pulls out his own photograph. The girl in both pictures is identical. A fragmented, unfamiliar memory floods his mind, a woman writing 4 names on a piece of cardboard and asking a young boy to choose one he likes. And so, number 88 is given the name Soo Hyun, and the family he always longed for. But his adoptive mother's attention is solely focused on her ailing daughter, Hyun Jin. Soo Hyun is deeply disappointed. His adoptive parents show no interest in him. He's merely a tool waiting to be used. Seeing his disappointment, Hyun Jin shares her blanket with him and asks their mother to take a picture of them. Looking at the faded photograph in his hand, Soo Hyun realizes the girl in the picture is his sister. Later, he and Philip analyze the situation. Years ago, after the real Hyun Jin died, Chairman Do and his wife adopted Lai Young from the Hansu orphanage, instructing her to take the name Hyun Jin and live in her adoptive mother's world. But what happened to Soo Hyun afterward? Philip advises him to complete the client's mission to gain further clues, but Soo Hyun remains adamant about quitting. Just as he leaves, he receives a call from the client, questioning why Councilman Seo is still alive. Soo Hyun states it wasn't an oversight but a choice. The client responds, "Then I have to make a new choice. Eliminate Councilman Seo within 3 hours, or I'll kill everyone around you, one by one." During the call, Soo Hyun spots Hyun Jin by the road. As the light turns green, she starts to cross, oblivious to a car speeding towards her. Soo Hyun sprints towards her. Hyun Jin senses something is wrong, but the car is too close to avoid. At the critical moment, Soo Hyun pushes her out of the way, shielding her with his body. As the car disappears down the road, his expression hardens. He abruptly leaves Hyun Jin by the roadside and returns to the clinic without looking back. He's out of options. If he doesn't follow the client's orders and eliminate Councilman Seo within 3 hours, Hyun Jin will remain in danger. He immediately searches for Councilman Seo's schedule online. Seeing Soo Hyun selecting weapons, Philip assumes he's reconsidered. But then he notices the map on the table and realizes it's not that simple. Soo Hyun plans to eliminate the target at a public campaign event. He instructs Philip to investigate the client's identity, then leaves, ignoring his friend's stunned expression. He knows targeting someone in public is a cardinal sin for an assassin, but Hyun Jin's safety is paramount. Councilman Seo is giving a speech surrounded by reporters and citizens. Detectives sit in a car across the street, tasked with protecting him. Perhaps affected by her near-death experience, Hyun Jin feels a sense of unease. Her intuition proves correct. Soo Hyun's sniper rifle is trained on Councilman Seo's forehead. Though he no longer wants to kill innocent people, the client's threat echoes in his mind. He makes his decision and pulls the trigger. As the shell casing falls, Councilman Seo's life ends. The scene instantly erupted into chaos. Hyun Jin's assistant was completely frozen in shock. This kind of brazen act, shooting a congressman dead in a crowded public space, was practically unheard of. Luckily, Hyun Jin remained calm. Observing the bullet hole in the wall, she analyzed the assassin's position. Meanwhile, Soo Hyun took advantage of the pandemonium to slip away. However, Hyun Jin caught him in the act. Without a word, she pursued him, finally catching up in a narrow alley. Soo Hyun heard her raise her hand above his head and immediately dropped his briefcase. Hyun Jin ordered him to turn around. She wanted to see the face of the man who had saved her twice. Just as she was about to pull down his mask, he swiftly disarmed her. Although Hyun Jin fought back with all her might, Soo Hyun, unwilling to injure her, used her own handcuffs to restrain her. He then picked up his briefcase and vanished without a backward glance. Back at the station, Hyun Jin's superiors were furious about their failure to protect Congressman Seo. Hyun Jin bore the brunt of their anger. Why hadn't she fired at the assassin? Faced with their criticism, she remained silent. Hyun Jin harbored a suspicion about the shooter's identity, one she desperately tried to avoid. Back at the station, a composite sketch of the assassin was created. When Hyun Jin saw it, her face paled. Her colleagues noticed her reaction and asked if she recognized the face, but she feigned composure and denied it. Later, she went to Soo Hyun's veterinary clinic. He had resumed his role as a veterinarian, but there was an awkward tension between them. Hyun Jin's suspicion about Soo Hyun intensified. More than uncovering the truth, she feared it. She feared he was Congressman Seo's killer. She investigated Soo Hyun's alibi, learning he'd performed surgery at a suburban hospital. She rushed there, demanding to know when he had been present. Without answering, Soo Hyun called a fellow surgeon who had operated alongside him. Faced with Hyun Jin's questioning, the surgeon confirmed, Soo Hyun was here all day performing surgeries on stray dogs. This seemingly dispelled Hyun Jin's suspicion. In reality, Soo Hyun, anticipating her investigation, had already arranged the alibi. Meanwhile, and Philip, at Soo Hyun's behest, had arranged a meeting with the person pulling the strings. Just before the meeting, however, he was accosted by debt collectors. Fortunately, Soo Hyun was nearby and his arrival quickly diverted the thug's attention. After dealing with them, he coldly escorted Philip home. With Congressman Seo eliminated, the mysterious figure delivered the fifth clue related to Soo Hyun's past. This time, the clue was a picture of Hyun Jin. Could his past be connected to her? That night, Soo Hyun infiltrated Hyun Jin's adoptive father's house, a place he also remembered as his own childhood home. Inside the mansion, Hyun Jin's adoptive parents were gathered with high-ranking officials, celebrating a supposed rebirth granted by helping clients. It was revealed that 20 years prior, Chairman Do, Hyun Jin's adoptive father, had initiated a chilling plan. Through artificial insemination, he cultivated a generation of children for the elite. These children weren't meant to inherit fortunes, but to serve as living organ banks for their aging parents. Should a parent's organ fail, these children would become the donors. Biologically, these organs would be perfect matches, eliminating the risk of rejection. Chairman Do's scheme garnered significant interest among the officials present. The children born through this process were often placed in orphanages, including the Hansu orphanage. These unsuspecting children were unaware that their very existence was predicated on providing organs for their biological parents, whom they would likely never meet, even in death. Hidden in the shadows, Soo Hyun listened, the lost fragments of his memory clicking into place. He realized Chairman Do was his biological father. He had been created through artificial insemination to provide an organ for his ailing sister. However, his sister didn't survive, and Soo Hyun was returned to the Hansu orphanage. Around that time, Chairman Do's secret was exposed. To destroy the evidence, he ordered his subordinates to eliminate all the children, including Soo Hyun. As everyone fled, Soo Hyun cleverly hid among the bodies. The panicked henchmen, discovering Soo Hyun missing, frantically searched for him. Seizing the opportunity, Soo Hyun escaped the Hansu orphanage. However, he was spotted by Chairman Do, who was driving by. Showing no mercy towards his biological son, Chairman Do accelerated and struck Soo Hyun with his car, then stuffed the injured boy into a bag. Despite Soo Hyun's desperate pleas, Chairman Do zipped the bag shut. Soo Hyun finally broke free from this agonizing memory. He couldn't believe this was the truth he'd sought for 20 years. Now, fully aware of his past, he hid behind the curtains. From such close proximity, he could easily eliminate Chairman Do. However, he refrained, waiting for Chairman Do to leave before surreptitiously gathering evidence of his crimes. At the same time, after dinner with colleagues, Hyun Jin called a ride home. But in her drunken state, she accidentally went to Soo Hyun's clinic. As it happened, he had just arrived as well. Completely inebriated, Hyun Jin dropped all pretense and directly confronted him about being number 88. Su Hyan, seeing her state, didn't bother feigning ignorance and asked her how she had been living all these years. Although adopted by a wealthy family, her life hadn't been easy. Her adoptive mother constantly treated her as a replacement for her deceased daughter, making Hyan Jin feel like a pet under constant surveillance. One, a man abandoned by a devil, the other, a girl raised by one. Though fate had dealt them both bitter blows, it miraculously brought them together in this unexpected way. The mysterious person who had been sending Su Hyan missions finally revealed himself. This man was Professor Ko. 20 years ago, he and Chairman Du had developed in vitro fertilization technology. Professor Ko believed they had found a way to benefit humanity, but the ruthless Chairman Du had other plans. He used the technology to create a supply of individuals for organ harvesting, extending the lives of the wealthy. Professor Ko, unwilling to participate in such a morally reprehensible scheme, parted ways with Chairman Du. But upon returning home, he discovered his entire family brutally murdered. As he reeled in despair, a metal pipe struck his head, and his house was set ablaze. Miraculously, Professor Ko survived, staggering from the inferno to a payphone to call Chairman Du for help, unaware that Du himself had orchestrated the attack. After feigning concern and offering empty condolences, Chairman Du furiously grabbed his subordinate, demanding to know why Professor Ko was still alive. But Professor Ko, sensing something amiss, had already vanished. For 20 years, he remained in hiding, never abandoning his quest for revenge. Now, he had two pawns in play, a secretary who had worked alongside Chairman Du for years, and Chop Suan's top assassin. Professor Ko, having been involved in the original research, knew Su Hyan's true origins. He contacted Su Hyan posing as a client, using clues about his parentage as bait to eliminate 6 targets. Su Hyan, consumed by the mystery of his identity, readily agreed. Unbeknownst to him, these 6 targets were all connected to the events of 20 years prior. As Su Hyan carried out the missions, he would inevitably uncover the truth, leading him to seek revenge on Chairman Du, precisely as Professor Ko had planned. Indeed, things unfolded according to Professor Ko's design. Su Hyan, looking at the images of children murdered by Chairman Du on his computer, realized that Du was still operating in this horrific trade. This solidified Su Hyan's resolve to kill him. The next day, disguised as a doctor, he infiltrated the hospital under Chairman Du's name and sent the incriminating evidence he had gathered to Du's phone. Su Hyan deliberately appeared before Chairman Du, who remained unaware of his true identity. He didn't strike, wanting only to see with his own eyes the man who was, in a purely biological sense, his father. That evening, as Su Hyan contemplated his next move, he was interrupted by Hyan Jin. Her pet cat had suddenly become listless. After examining it, Su Hyan diagnosed the cat with depression, explaining that sensitive animals like cats are easily affected by their owner's emotions. Hyan Jin realized that the tense atmosphere surrounding her recent investigation might be impacting her cat. Su Hyan, awkward and unsure how to express his deeper feelings, fell back on his doctor persona, advising her to take care of herself, if only for the cat's sake. He then revealed that the case Hyan Jin was investigating was the murder of Assemblyman Seo. It turned out that besides being an assemblyman, Seo was also the former director of the Hansu orphanage. This made Hyan Jin suspect that his death was more complicated than it appeared. As her investigation deepened, she sensed a disturbing secret surrounding the Hansu orphanage, a secret connected to its founder, her adoptive father, Chairman Du. All the evidence pointed to him. Hyan Jin decided to confront him directly. Chairman Du was listening to a report from a subordinate. He had grown suspicious of Secretary Jai Hai and ordered an investigation into her activities. His subordinate had indeed uncovered something. Just as he was about to report his findings, Hyan Jin arrived, interrupting them. Chairman Du dismissed his subordinate. Despite Hyan Jin being his adopted daughter, he had never treated her with genuine affection. Though nervous, Hyan Jin questioned him about Professor Ko and the Hansu orphanage. Chairman Du feigned ignorance, telling her to search the internet for answers. Defeated, she left. Just as the investigation reached a dead end, the police received an anonymous tip. The letter claimed that the children of the Hansu orphanage had been murdered and provided the location of their remains. Hyan Jin's team investigated the site and unearthed a mass grave. The anonymous informant clearly knew more. To identify the tipster, they reviewed security footage near the police station and discovered it was Secretary Jai Hai, her father's secretary. Hyun Jin immediately called Jai Hai. However, Jai Hai was already being held captive by Chairman Do's subordinate. He intercepted the call, impersonating Jai Hai and claiming she was in a meeting. Hyun Jin then sent a photo of the unearthed remains. The subordinate's face paled. He immediately called Chairman Do, asking if he should eliminate Jai Hai. But Chairman Do had a different plan. He intended to use Jai Hai as bait to lure Professor Ko out of hiding. After Professor Ko learned of Secretary Jai Hai's capture, he was incredibly worried. However, the sly old fox once again took advantage of Soo Hyun. Posing as a client, he sent Soo Hyun the location where Jai Hai was being held, claiming it was where Chairman Do was keeping the children. Upon seeing the message, Soo Hyun couldn't sit still. He immediately went to the address Professor Ko provided that very night. At the same time, Hyun Jin, tracking Jai Hai's car via GPS, also arrived at the location. She noticed Soo Hyun's car parked there and called him, asking his whereabouts since she thought she saw his car. Just then, a man suddenly appeared and grabbed Hyun Jin from behind. Hearing the sounds of a struggle, Soo Hyun rushed towards the cars. Hyun Jin fought back against her attacker, but being outnumbered, she was quickly choked by one of the men. Soo Hyun arrived just in time to see Hyun Jin struggling in the assailant's grip, his anger boiling over. Facing the thugs armed with clubs and knives, Soo Hyun's blood ran cold, and he fought back with his bare hands. He quickly subdued the two men. But as he turned towards Hyun Jin, one of the thugs got back up, grabbed a knife, and lunged at Soo Hyun. Hyun Jin sprang to her feet and took the blow meant for him. This was undoubtedly the most unsettling moment Soo Hyun, a trained assassin, had ever experienced. Seeing Hyun Jin collapse in his arms, his usual cold demeanor vanished. He shook her, trying to wake her, and only then remembered to call for an ambulance. By the next day, Hyun Jin was out of danger, resting in a VIP hospital room. Faced with her adoptive mother's concern, Hyun Jin seemed indifferent, clutching her phone, waiting for a call from Soo Hyun, but after waiting half the day, only her colleagues called. After hanging up, she couldn't sit still any longer. Ignoring the advice of her mother and colleagues, she insisted on leaving the hospital. Left with no other option, her colleague drove her home. Upon arriving, the colleague offered to help her upstairs, but she flatly refused. After seeing her colleague off, Hyun Jin didn't go home but went straight to Soo Hyun's clinic. "I thought you would come to the hospital, or at least call," she reproached him, her tone laced with a hint of petulance. Soo Hyun didn't say much in response, simply offering to take her home. He escorted her to her apartment, where she sat on the sofa with a contented expression. But when Soo Hyun made to leave, her face fell. "Can you stay a little longer?" she asked. Soo Hyun obediently sat down. Hyun Jin confessed that she always felt nervous whenever she ran into him. Hearing this, Soo Hyun teasingly asked if she needed to stay in the hospital a few more days. Hyun Jin replied that she preferred being home, because she could see him anytime. This veiled confession made it clear that Soo Hyun occupied her every thought. However, he was more concerned about her injury. "Next time something like this happens, don't get involved," he told her. He then assured her that she could contact him anytime if she needed anything. The next day, before heading to work, Hyun Jin remembered Soo Hyun's words and sent him a quick text. As a result, he appeared at her door, and they headed downstairs together. However, Hyun Jin's colleague arrived, claiming to be on the way and offering her a ride to work. Unable to refuse, Hyun Jin reluctantly got into her colleague's car. After seeing Hyun Jin off, Soo Hyun drove to Chairman Do's house. As the chairman emerged, Soo Hyun called him. "It's been 20 years, hasn't it, father?" Chairman Do, spotting the car across the street, recognized his son. Confronted by Soo Hyun, the chairman coldly stated that his biggest mistake 20 years ago was not killing him. The chairman's callous words made Soo Hyun laugh in disbelief. He retorted that they were not the same, and he wouldn't make the same mistake. Hanging up, Soo Hyun floored the gas pedal, ramming his car into Chairman Do's. As panic seized the chairman, Soo Hyun swerved the steering wheel at the last moment. He didn't want to die with this monster. There were still children held captive by Chairman Do, awaiting organ harvesting. He had to save them. Meanwhile, Hyun Jin and her colleague returned to the site of the previous night's attack. Hyun Jin had gone there searching for Jai Hai. 2 days had passed without any news, increasing her anxiety. There, she discovered Jai Hai's blood-stained earring. It turned out that after Chairman Du's men spotted Hyun Jin, they had secretly moved Jai Hai. By then, Jai Hai was already dead. Su Hyun knew this would likely be his final mission as an assassin, and his opponent was his demonic father. Even Su Hyun, a man who had killed without hesitation, now had a flicker of doubt in his eyes. He had someone he wanted to protect, though he'd considered leaving his life behind to live a normal life with Hyun Jin, knowing there were children suffering the same fate he had, children controlled by his father. He couldn't turn a blind eye. With the help of Philip's investigation, Su Hyun discovered that Chairman Du's in vitro fertilization lab was hidden within a hospital ward. Disguising himself as a doctor, he gained access to the VIP room. The elderly man in the room was a wealthy patient who had recently received a heart transplant, his own son's heart. Su Hyun asked him how it felt to live with his son's heart beating inside him. The old man, sensing danger, reached for the emergency call button. Su Hyun calmly helped him press it. After receiving the signal, the doctors all rushed to the old man's room, giving Su Hyun the opportunity to slip into the hospital's top floor. After deceiving the staff there, he finally gained access to the sinister laboratory. Inside, carefully numbered and sealed containers held the evidence of VIP clients' in vitro fertilizations. The children born through this technology were meant to serve as living organ banks for their parents. Su Hyun called Chairman Du, demanding to know the locations of the numbered children. He threatened to expose everything to the public if Du didn't cooperate. But the chairman retorted that even if Su Hyun could twist the facts, any public outcry would just be fabricated evidence meant to frame him. Without another word, Su Hyun activated a pre-planted bomb. "You'll regret this," he told Du. The chairman sensed something amiss, but moments later, an explosion rocked the top floor, leaving him to watch helplessly as his life's work was destroyed. As Su Hyun made his escape, he overheard a man mention the number of a child. Instead of confronting him, Su Hyun followed the man to a building. The sight of a crude, blood-soaked operating table confirmed he'd found the right place. "Where are the children? If you bring them out now, I might spare your life." Just then, several thugs burst into the room. Su Hyun didn't hesitate, quickly dispatching them with a few swift kicks. Fleeing the operating room, he heard crying from a nearby room. He broke the chains on the door, revealing the numbered children inside. The sight left Su Hyun speechless, his eyes burning with a cold fury. Meanwhile, Hyun Jin arrived at the clinic and stumbled upon Su Hyun's secret room. The weapons displayed on the walls confirmed her worst fears. Su Hyun was the masked man who had saved her multiple times, the very assassin the police had been searching for. The number 88, whom she had deeply loved, had been expressing his feelings for her in his own silent way. Suddenly, she received a location from an unknown sender. Knowing it was Su Hyun, she rushed to the coordinates. Su Hyun's car was parked by the roadside, the rescued children safe inside. Her phone rang. She asked if it was Su Hyun. He simply told her to protect Seul Kai. "Killing won't solve anything," she pleaded. But despite her pleas, Su Hyun remained resolute. Only by eliminating this evil could he prevent more children from being born for such a horrific purpose. After the call ended, Hyun Jin scanned her surroundings, certain Su Hyun was watching her from nearby. He was, tears welling in his eyes as he remembered their time together. Those brief moments were the only light in his dark existence. With his identity exposed, Su Hyun was now a nationwide fugitive. And Philip frantically called Su Hyun, urging him to escape, but then encountered him at a bend in the road. Su Hyun asked him for a car and a phone, and Philip, understanding his intentions, immediately tried to dissuade him, arguing that staying would lead to either capture or death. He desperately pleaded with Su Hyun to flee with him to Russia, but Su Hyun was determined to complete his mission as number 88. The next morning, a large contingent of police gathered, awaiting orders. Hyun Jin informed them that with irrefutable evidence, an arrest warrant for Chairman Du had been officially authorized. They set out to apprehend him. With Du safely in custody, Hyun Jin felt a wave of relief, believing this would prevent Su Hyun from seeking revenge. However, she underestimated Chairman Du's influence. Within a single night, he secured a pardon. Surrounded by onlookers, he calmly walked out of the police station. Hearing the news on the car radio, Soo-hyun was unsurprised. This kind of evil, untouchable even by the law, could only be eradicated by him. Meanwhile, Seul-kai, spotting food on the table, rushed downstairs. She knew it was from Soo-hyun, but upon reaching the clinic, she found no trace of him. Just as disappointment washed over her, her phone rang. "Don't just sit there, come upstairs." Seul-kai burst into tears, begging him to show himself. But Soo-hyun only told her to live well. "Why are you like this? You know I don't like eating alone. Start getting used to it." He felt a deep debt to Seul-kai, one he could never fully repay. But undeniably, during their 10 years together, they had become an inseparable family. While Soo-hyun outwardly cared for Seul-kai, the kind and perceptive Seul-kai had also been a silent companion to the cold and solitary Soo-hyun. After one last look at her, Soo-hyun embarked on his final mission. Chairman Do arrived back at his villa. Despite being surrounded by a large number of bodyguards, a sense of unease lingered. Then, gunfire erupted from outside. Soo-hyun, facing the onslaught of professional gunmen, didn't flinch. Despite his expert marksmanship, he was struck by a sniper. At that critical moment, and Philip appeared, using his last ounce of strength to shove Soo-hyun behind cover. Witnessing his only friend's dying breaths, Soo-hyun became consumed by rage. Though gravely wounded, he fought with a desperate fury to avenge Philip. After eliminating the gunman, Soo-hyun stormed the villa, gun in hand. Chairman Do attempted a last stand but was swiftly shot down. Facing the cold barrel of the gun, the chairman's usual arrogance vanished, replaced by desperate pleas for mercy. Soo-hyun asked him if he valued his life so much, why hadn't he considered the lives of the children? Do, descending into madness, retorted that those children were born to be sacrificed. Just as Soo-hyun was about to end it, Hyun-jin arrived, urging him to stop. "If I stop," Soo-hyun argued, "he'll escape justice again, and more innocent children will face the threat of death." At that moment, a swarm of SWAT officers burst in, their weapons trained on Soo-hyun. Witnessing this, Hyun-jin's pleas turned into desperate begging. Chairman Do let out a triumphant laugh. But then, to protect more children, Soo-hyun made the ultimate sacrifice. Seeing Soo-hyun riddled with bullets, Hyun-jin was left speechless. With his last strength, Soo-hyun grasped Hyun-jin's hand, his mind flashing back to their moments together. He regretted never confessing his feelings to her. Perhaps from the very beginning, their roles as assassin and police officer destined them to be forever apart.